do you know what? I've worked miracles with his haircut, right? Flipping heck, boys. I was looking like a caveman.
No, you're looking great, man. You're looking great.
I feel attacked. I feel attacked now. Now you've said that.
Why?
No,
because Dubl actually looks like a caveman. To be fair, when I was younger, I owned my own shavers, so I just used to cut the whole thing off myself.
That's what I do, yeah.
But then as I've got older and actually started going to the barbers and realized what an actual like real shape up was. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, fresh. I done this for you, Smoove.
Nah, mate, bro, you look like you just come off a vacation. You look young.
I wish I'd been on vacation. Flipping heck. How long have you guys been waiting? Sorry about that, by the way.
Mate, we've been here like 45 minutes. We've been waiting for you now. We sat here just waiting for you to start for like 45 minutes. Bro.
I know Dubl is chatting
I'll
rubbish
say about
straight
45
away.
seconds.
I had to do emergency bathroom run. Sorry, guys.
No, it's all good.
Sorry about that. Anyway, are we good? Are we in?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I record it on here as well. WhatsApp. Yeah. I mean, not WhatsApp. Zoom. But
you don't need to record on Zoom. That's fine. We've got it on this end.
All right, so I'll record on my phone.
If you just record your audio, on your phone, and then you asked about headphones, that's entirely your preference, bruv.
Nah, man, I'm good.
Entirely up to you. I use it because. Can you believe this? Have either of you two ever blown up the speakers on your laptop?
No.
I've managed it. I don't know how. I wasn't listening to
on
dubstep.
a MacBook.
Yeah, on a Mac, and they own Beats as well. I'm pretty sure this has got like Beats speakers in, and somehow I've managed to blow them.
So is that the laptop that you've got customized?
Yes.
So look, I've done the same thing on mine. Does that not mean that our warranty doesn't exist anymore?
Oh, mate, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Absolutely. Huh?
And so you fuck for the speakers now?
Yeah, I'd say unless I pay to get them repaired, the speakers are fucked.
Is no sound coming out at all? Is it like?
Oh no, but it's like.
Oh yeah, then
like it's proper. Like I've torn the cones.
I think it's all the drill music that you play.
It could be that. To be fair, it could be that there's some deep bass in them.
Maybe your sushi songs should come with like a warning. May blow your.
Yeah, true. So have you had the same laser stuff done to your laptop, Smoove? That Dubl?
Yeah, I did it. You know what? I think I've seen Dubl do it, and I've seen a few DJs in the States do it. And I bought a laptop maybe 2016, and I just thought this is the first one where the Apple wasn't lit up.
Okay,
so I sent it off to Amsterdam, don't you? Send it off to Uncover in Amsterdam, and they did it. And I think I was the first one with the new, without the Apple logo to send it with them. And it's not as crisp because the backlight with the old laptops, because they had to light up the Apple logo.
Perfect.
Nicer than it is, but still works out, and it still looks all right. And do you know what it is? When you go to places, it looks
sick.
Yeah,
Rob,
yeah.
That was my thinking behind it. Yeah, was it's marketing, and I remember it cost me a fuck ton of money at the time. I had a brand new MacBook. I hadn't even switched it on. Literally,
like €500 or something, and then you got to pay for the packaging.
Yeah. Got to pay for FedEx to take it as well. And so I bought the MacBook and shipped it the same day that I got it. So I didn't even I literally only took it out the box to make sure the Mac was in the box.
Yeah.
And then I didn't turn it on, and then put it straight back in. And the same day I got FedEx to come pick it up, take it, and a week later it arrived.
It looks brilliant because yours takes up the whole.
It's huge.
Mine's only small, but
Dubl's is bold.
Yeah. I told them I wanted it bigger, but they were like, we can't do it any bigger because that's the size of the backlight. Any bigger and it won't light up.
No, yours is brilliant, and it takes up as much space.
You guys are braver than me sending a brand new laptop off in the post to Amsterdam. Who co-signed this company beforehand to allow you to trust this?
What's his name? The DJ SK87.
Oh, okay. Right,
SK87 or 83? I forget. No, it's 87.
It's 83.
83. SK83.
I said 87.
Oh, sorry, bruv. SK83.
SK94.
I made him 4 years younger. SK83. He co-signed it for me because I looked through their clients list and he was on there. So I actually just messaged him and I was like, yo, I found this company and they said that you're one of their clients. Like, can you just let me know? Just so I don't want to send my MacBook off to some dodgy company that I never ever hear from again.
Yeah, that's it. You pride and joy in the post.
Yeah, no, and shouts to SK83 because he was like, yeah, they're legit, like they're proper. So I sent it off. But my thinking behind it, even it was so much money at the time, and I was like, it's marketing. I was like, at the end of the day, this is going to be the brightest light in the room. Anyone that takes any photos near it, it's going to be in the photos very prominently.
And it's classy, isn't it? It looks, it's better than having like a branded T-shirt or something like that. It looks legit. It's a
or even like a sticker on the back of the laptop. Like, I think it just come on so much.
How the days have changed where you would wear a T-shirt with your DJ logo on. Because we've all done it. We've all done it. We've all been there.
I'll show you my last laptop. One sec. I've got it right here.
He's got two lappies. Flipping heck.
You must have a lot of laptops, Stylus.
Me, I've got two, but I don't have any laser etched light up laptops. Yeah, I've just got my edit laptop and then my DJing one. Thank you, separate. Because my last one got destroyed, and
I remember you saying,
I learned the hard way. Someone threw a drink missile from like 50 foot across the club, and it landed so perfectly on top of the laptop, upside down. It couldn't have landed any more crisp on top of the laptop.
And you would kind of find out who it was, and then through Twitter and social media, you found out, didn't you?
Yeah, we managed to find out who it was.
They're dead now.
Yeah. No, I'm joking. Don't say that, bro.
I can't imagine like if some student and stylist and the man then rolled through to the school.
Oh, I was fuming, guys. Like literally, because the laptop just went like the black screen, just the instant screen of death. This is peak of the night. It's 2:00. The club's full. Oh my God, I had a heart attack. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any backup with me. I didn't have any, which is my own fault. No USBs, no backup CDs, just the dead laptop, and the club had to finish.
Do you always go with USBs now in a backup?
I've got backup now. Yeah, I learned the hard way. So, guys, if you're listening, keep a backup because you might get a little kid might dash a drink across the room.
I'm aware this is an abomination, right? But that was my last laptop.
That's so Westwood, that cover. That is so old Westwood CD.
Diamond logo, diamonds.
There's like a bashment there, isn't it?
Real diamonds.
Dancehall rave.
It looks like one of them old American DJ mixtape covers.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what I was going for. But anyway, yeah, it's definitely more classy. Now.
So where are you, Smoove, right now? Like you feel like you're on holiday or something.
He's on a private yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean.
No. I'm
on his own private yacht.
I wish I was. I'm in Sicily, just here for a week. Telling Dubl like
nice.
Like, we got time, haven't we, at the moment? But it's my missus has been working loads. Like she's in the hair industry, so everyone needs to get a haircut. And for that lockdown period, it's just a back catalogue of people wanting to get a hair done. So
I'm feeling attacked again.
I'm feeling attacked again.
So everyone needs to get their hair cut. Dubl.
Yeah, that was not I love your looks great, mate. Don't worry. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
He's too kind. Just tell him he needs a trim. He won't take it to heart.
No, I'll tell you a little story about Dubl. All right, you won't know this, Dubl. So we were on Bang Radio at the same time, and I used to do the morning shows. And I'd always used to chat to the girls beforehand, and everyone would go, "Oh, the girls love Dubl in the office." They probably never told him.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's
Dubl.
What?
Dubl, mate. Come on, you little stud.
Dubl was the talked about guy at the station. I remember, like, yeah.
What?
This is before he had his long hair, so they might have thrown that.
Yes, it's all changed now. I've got a beard. I'm very unkempt. Like, yeah. It's all changed out. Oh, bro, I did not know that. Why didn't you let me in on this, man? There's so much missed opportunity there.
Because you're happily with a missus and you still are. I'm just telling you now.
Oh, no, you're killing me. Go on, carry on, Smoove.
Yeah, what were they saying?
I'm joking. This isn't singled out. This is a DJ podcast. I'm not Paddy McGuinness. I'm here with
Love that. I had no idea you was on Bang as well, Smoove.
Yeah, I had the morning. I used to do the 10 till 1 show, and for me, a 10 o'clock show was so early. Like
Yeah, but it was after a night out as well.
On the student circuit in the midweek, like you'd be getting home about 3, 4 o'clock, and it takes an hour to switch off after the clubs. I don't know about you guys, but like to get to sleep, your head is ringing. You're still wired because you had so much adrenaline running through your set. So it takes an hour to at least switch off. Like I find myself sitting in the car sometimes.
I was just about to say that. I think that's a recurring thing for DJs. We sit in the car park for like
rolling.
Pull up on the drive,
Yeah, it's really wet. But that's one thing I don't miss. Like the 10 o'clock finishes now are a lifesaver. Getting up at like 8 or 7 in the morning is a blessing. But don't get me wrong, when the clubs start up again, I'll be all over it.
Are you playing out a lot at the moment?
Yeah, this is it. So I'm not much at all. I'm doing, so the guys that own Cirque Le Soir in London, Cirque, as a lot of people know it, they own a restaurant called Hours, and they asked me to cover it a couple of nights. I did it, and it's really close to where I live. The people are there are really nice. You know, certain venues, when you go there, they greet you with a smile and a hug. They offer you a drink before you've even plugged in. Like that energy is what I want to be surrounded by when I'm in a venue. Yeah. Like they want you to be there. They're happy to see you, just like you're happy to see them. So shout out to everyone at Restaurant Hours. I'm doing that a couple of times a week. But like in terms of money, man, like for DJing at the moment, it's no, man. Like I'm making 10% of what I would have done before the pandemic. But
so you're only making. It's
only making. You beat me to it.
Yeah. It's tough, but like, where do you stand on this? Like, we could all stand strong and say, look, I want the same wages as I had before. But if the clubs are only operating for 4 hours, or the restaurants only operating for 4 hours, and they reduce capacity, so they're reducing their income, I can't ask them for the same amount of money if they're making way less, or they're just covering their overheads to keep people employed. You know what I mean? There's a moral stance where I just can't ask. Like, part of me is like, how much can you pay me? You let me know, and we'll work something out so we're both happy, rather than, no, this is what my wage is.
Demanding.
I think it's a difficult thing because
I think me and you, Dubl, will probably disagree on this because I've seen you on the chats. You're quite.
Dubl won't take £50 less.
No. So basically,
this guy's strict.
I'm just very, very cautious because pre-coronavirus, I noticed that DJ wages in general, when I'm having conversations with promoters and clubs about new work, etc., the expectation of how much a DJ should get paid was becoming less anyway because of how easy it is to step into the game. You buy a laptop, you get a Serato or record box or whatever, do you know what I mean? And suddenly you're a DJ. So the skill set behind it was almost being left out, which meant the fees were being dropped. Do you know what I mean? The clubs were paying less for DJs, and that was all happening before the coronavirus anyway. Right. So one thing I'm very, very wary about, and I think everyone should be wary about, is setting a precedent for new club fees. Because just for example, there's clubs that are opening now, and I know this for fact, that are offering £25 an hour for DJs.
Yeah, but I think for a warm up, if you've never played in a club, if you're warming up for yourself, Dubl or Stylus, £25. I would say it should be a little bit more than that. Come on, man. But like,
okay. So
a warm up should be getting like £100, £150 for a 2-3 hour set or something like that to warm you up. I think.
I personally think a bottom line hourly rate for a club DJ, as I'm just saying, a resident, whether you're the warm up or the main set, I think bottom line should be like absolute. So minimum, let's call it minimum wage when you're coming to DJs, should be £50 an hour. Okay. If you're doing it at an hourly rate, I think that's what you should be looking at as minimum wage. But I think what's happening now is people are going out for such low rates just to either make a little bit of change because they're making literally no money, or just to be out again in the clubs and be playing out. And I think what is dangerous is as things ease off and you're getting paid £100 for 4 hours work, or £100 for 5 hours or 6 hours, or whatever you've negotiated with the club, I think it's going to be very difficult to then get back up into the £400 for the night mark, which, okay, so people in normal jobs might say, well, yeah, but £25 an hour is amazing. You get to stand in a room and play music. I have to work. I don't know actually what normal wage is, but it's not comparable. And the reason for that is because the career span of a DJ is so much shorter than a normal career.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
We only operate mainly, like most DJs probably only play Thursday if they're lucky, but Friday, Saturday. Not many people get early or midweek bookings.
Yeah.
So the hours that we operate are a lot smaller than the 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 Monday to Friday that someone else is doing.
Yeah.
And also, I agree with you. And I think that certain, like, look at YouTube, for example. There's not any situation in a club world that you can't really cope with. So that experience is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
If like an artist came up, you can cope with any situation. If there was a completely different crowd, so there was last year, you've got your hours, you've done your 20, 30,000 hours, that there's nothing that you can't cope with. So that should be rewarded financially in terms of...
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I actually tweeted it earlier this year, I think it was, before the lockdown and stuff. And I'd had a conversation about this with someone on Twitter. And I actually said, but my fee isn't based on the amount of time that I'm in the club.
Yeah.
My fee is based on the amount of time I've put into this work. Like the last 15 years of experience and knowledge and playing to practically every possible crowd and knowing what I know about music and how to control a crowd. That's what my fee is about.
Yeah, it's the same with an electrician.
Yeah, it's not the 2-3 hours I'm in the club. It's everything that
it's a combination of all of it, isn't it?
Precisely.
You don't question an electrician who comes into your house because your lights aren't working. He goes into like the master board or whatever and there's switches one thing that you haven't got a clue about and it takes 5 minutes and he charges you 100 quid or something. No. You don't have a go in for that because he's had to learn the qualifications to understand that switchboard to do that job in 5 minutes. So you don't question that. It's the same with DJing, I think.
And similarly, you wouldn't get an apprentice plumber. You wouldn't say to a plumber, "Oh, right, you've only done 2 other jobs and you don't really know much about plumbing. Well, come and do the whole house." Like, and that's what's happening with DJing is people that are brand new are being told, "Oh yeah, come and do the whole night." Like, "Oh, you're only 50 quid. Yeah, come do the whole thing."
Do you think that's the promoter's fault or do you think that's new DJ's fault?
No, I don't think it's the new DJs at all.
No, I don't think it's the DJ's fault.
We've had this conversation in the past, like, and this was when I mentioned about having apprentices. I think partially it's the fault of our generation of DJs for not schooling the youngers. Like, it seems to be as the DJ world grew and more people became DJs, I saw a lot of DJs in our generation that were kind of like, "Oh, well, they're not proper DJs because they've never spun on vinyl and with your USB."
The usual ones.
You don't know how to use a CDJ. That kind of mentality created like a barrier between our generation and the new generation of DJs. Whereas what we should have been doing is saying, "Okay, cool, you're new to the game. Come with me to the club. I'll hook you up with a couple of club jobs. Come and do the warm-up. I'll show you how to do things." Breaking them off a bit of the salary, do you know what I mean? And then really showing them the ropes. Excuse me.
That is a great way, but I think a lot of people do that. Like,
no, I think some, not a lot.
You don't reckon?
No, I don't think, not enough. Anyway, in my humble opinion.
Like, I would say, I was a student promoter, and I found Andy in his first year of university gave me his CD, and then we kind of both helped each other out. And then Andy's doing the same with students that he's now was a student promoter for and bring each other up. And you could say that Hanif did the same for me, or Trevor did the same for Hanif.
Right. Yeah.
And it does kind of feed its way down in our cycle anyway. But I agree. I think the apprentice thing is a great shout.
Dubl's been championing the apprentice thing for years, to be fair to him.
It's an idea.
You just haven't got one yet, bro.
No, but I'll tell you why. It's because
it's hard right now anyway.
I live in Maidstone. Mm-hmm. I play in Brighton. I play in Surrey. I play in Southampton. I'll play sometimes in Manchester. Do you know what I mean? So to have
you'd have to have one in each city.
Well, that's the thing. I could potentially have like one in each area that I kind of bring in, which I actually didn't really think about. I kind of focused on who's the one, but then I couldn't have someone from East Sussex drive to Maidstone to meet me, to then drive to Surrey or to here and here. And logistically, it was a difficult plan. But having one in a different area.
Certain DJs do it. Like I think Volatile does it probably in Cyprus. I'm sure Jonesy does it in Plymouth. Brings people through. And it also depends though, Dubl, like you've got to be secure in your own self. There's a lot of DJs that probably won't. And that's not just because they're insecure themselves, but that's because they're worried that the apprentice they've got is trustworthy. So you could end up getting someone that would maybe try and snake you when you take a week off or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's not just a test of DJ character. It's also a test of your character as a person, I think. Of who you hire and things like that, I guess.
Yeah, I agree.
I do blame the clubs as well. Yeah. Not just the promoters, but when it's in-house nightclub owners. And I get it. I get from a business point of view, if you're crunching numbers, it makes business sense. Put your overheads the minimum. Why would you pay £400 for someone if you can pay £50 for someone to, in my mind, do the same job? Do you know what I mean?
But we have to educate people and say, look,
Yeah.
When you're paying £400 or I don't know how much, you're paying a certain amount for someone like Scotty B, it's going to be a completely different experience to someone that's just in their bedroom. Yeah. It's just like if you're going to buy a watch, if you spend the money and buy, say, a Rolex, it'll be completely different to buying a Casio. There are different levels. Like, how do you want your club to be perceived? Do you want to have...
Guys flexing his G-Shock. Okay.
Yeah.
Flex it, son.
How he said Casio. I'm like, bro.
No, I don't even have a watch on. Don't worry.
It's not got his rollie on today.
No, but it doesn't...
I get the point.
You know what I mean? Like, you get what you pay for, mostly, I think. And that's why I think I've had this conversation with you, Dubl, about corporates. Corporates don't mind spending money, maybe because it's not coming out of their pockets and it's coming out of the organization's pockets, but they don't mind spending money on quality. And the clubs should really have that same mentality, really. Like, I don't think music is something you shouldn't be skimping on.
No. Entertainment in general, I don't think you should be.
I feel like sometimes the DJ can be put at the bottom of the list, depending on like what venue or event you're playing at. Like, we can be looked at last when really we should be at the front line, because like you say, if the DJ has to set the tone, and if you go and book $100 DJ or you go and spend X amount on an experienced DJ, the difference in quality is you know what I mean, it's second to none. You can always tell the difference, man. So
it's something I've always noticed, and you can always tell the difference between a club owner who is a businessman or a club owner who is a music fan.
Look at Stxylo, for example.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Man like John. Big up, John.
I think a lot of great clubs like Tup do the same. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of the Newcastle venues are the same. But even the London venues, like you look at Tape, you look at Cirque, you look at Rain, Libertine, they only hire quality DJs. It's when venues are in a big conglomerate. So is it Luminar or Novus Leisure, like the Lavas, the Ignites, the...
Deltic.
Yeah, the Deltic venues, that's it. They're just looking at numbers. They're not looking at the art. They're not looking at the experience. They're looking at a purely business mentality. And I think that's, if you're in show business, you're in the nightclub industry, you've got to put on a good experience. And it's a real short-term mentality. And that's why they probably change hands a lot, and they obviously struggle a little bit. But yeah, that's my opinion anyway.
Well, yeah, with that said, there are certain clubs, I think, like there are general managers of Deltic venues that I've worked for that have been incredible. There's a couple in particular
same.
that have really backed my corner when the business end has knocked and said, look, you need to cut down your budgets. We're spending too much. You need to really refine the business. The GMs have always had my back and been like, okay, but the DJ costs are not coming down. So so it's not company wide.
But do you know what? Like me and having a go at the venues, say like the Novus Leisure Group or whatever. Maybe they probably see it as like the average punter in Scunthorpe probably doesn't really care about.
Doesn't care.
Yeah, they're probably more about the buy one get one free offer on
100%.
freaking Stella or whatever it is. So they've got, like, I see it from their side, but they've also got to see it from our side, if you know what I mean. And there's a balance to be had.
Yeah, precisely. That's the thing. I understand the mentality. I just don't agree with it.
I think if you skimp at venues like in major cities like a Southampton or like a Birmingham or a Coventry or a Manchester, then that's poor. But if you're maybe in those small town venues where music isn't a priority, maybe that's probably what they do. But I don't know. I don't know their business model, but I don't want to offend anyone.
Snips, I think Snips was tweeting the other day, just going back to what you guys said about like people not caring about music. Like, is it at the point now where people just want to come to the club and just hear their favorite songs, and they're not really bothered about like the journey of the journey that the DJ is going to take you on, the way they're going to piece their set together? Obviously, not all people. We know loads of people that are into like DJing and the art of it. But do you think the general punter is losing the way with where they're not really asked about what the DJ's doing, as long as like they hear their
top 10 hits
songs of
every day?
Yeah, like that's it. Like I think Snips done one of the tweets the other day that just like kind of made me feel a bit sad, really, to be honest.
But if that's the case, a club night will only last for an hour because you hear your favourite songs.
That's it.
You hear it twice. By the first time you're bored, you can't sustain a night like that. You have to have take it on a journey. Otherwise, club nights will finish at 1 o'clock. People will go home bored. Like, you can't. That's where a good DJ is worth his weight in gold. Like, they'll make it till 2 o'clock. Like, Jones is a prime example of this. Like, he'll if you look at if he ever says you use Serato playlist, and you guys are probably the same. You play your bangers like between 1:30 and 2:30, and then last half an hour you're slowing it down a little bit. But you're not playing anything before that hour. Like, you're just making people wait. And by that time, they're so desperate for it. They've had a few drinks. They're euphoric when they hear it. So you can't, like, if you're coming in at 11 o'clock in a club, sober, with your friends, and you're hearing your favourite songs, by 12:30, you're bored.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Like, you just burn your own night out before it's even begun.
Give them some foreplay, people.
You gotta feel them up.
Go straight dry. Don't do it.
This is why I get frustrated when I hear I'll hear a DJ play at 11 and I might hear them play at 2 and they'll play the same way both times.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah.
You know what? They don't have the depth that say you got. Like, we are lucky because we're in a generation where we got to experience playing on vinyl, playing on CDs, playing now on Serato. So we've had to do the hours where we've been doing those 10 till 12 slots, warming up for Shorty Blitz or warming up for Trevor. So we've had to experience that, and we've had to, and I'm so grateful for being in this era. Like, it's given us a rounded experience, and like, I feel sorry for the younger generation that don't have the depth. There are a lot of DJs that do, but there are certain DJs.
There are some younger DJs have taken the time. I've noticed a few. They've taken the time to actually learn older music and go more in depth, but as a generalization, it does appear that the new generation of DJs don't have the musical knowledge. They know.
Is that because they're not music fans?
I think it's because. No, I don't. Because
I think we got into this because we loved music initially, and the DJing came after it. I think the difference is now people like the idea of being the DJ before they fell in love. Well, maybe they liked the music, but maybe it wasn't as much as a passion as what, like, say, we had before we picked it up. I think people like it for different reasons.
Yeah.
And we loved it, and to prove we loved it, we spent all our freaking money on it.
That's a big thing. Like, we were doing. I mean,
This is the difference, man.
I was working in a pub kitchen, doing all of that stuff, just to save up my money, and then getting on a bus, which was an hour and a half bus to Brighton to go to the record shop and spend all the money that I've earned this week, all of the money, on vinyl, so I could go home and play.
That was a barrier to entry. There's you had to do that to even be considered able to DJ, because you need to buy the equipment, you needed to buy the music, and that makes it hard. So if you reach that barrier, you've already had to make sacrifices, whereas now maybe you don't have to make those sacrifices to be a DJ. You can just get this and that, and maybe that's devalued the whole concept of being a DJ.
Yeah, I think also the way the music industry has shifted has affected the quality of new DJs. Because, for example, when we started out, like mid to late 90s hip hop would be considered old school, or early 2000s was the cusp of old school. Whereas we're in 2020 now, anything dropped in 2015 is considered old school.
Yeah. The label of old school has definitely changed.
Like 2017, even maybe at a push, like 2017.
See people throwing fake songs about it's old school.
yeah, exactly. Can you? I remember someone saying to me, and it was probably like 2 or 3 years after it was released. Can you play something old school like Wiz Khalifa, Black and Yellow?
But in their defense, that is old school. Like if you
now it is.
It is.
I'm talking like 2 years, maybe 3 years after it was released.
Yeah.
This was when I noticed. This is when I realized, like, the definition has changed. The way these people are consuming music has changed.
Because people consume it so quick now. The conveyor belt of music that is like Spotify and these streaming sites, it's just these releases are just flying by. So these songs probably feel old school before they actually are, because so much stuff is released now. Like I can't keep up with the releases anymore. There's just too much.
It's a lot to consume, isn't it?
I find myself going back to albums from months ago that I've saved that I've not actually listened to yet, or something like that. I've still not even listened to the Nas album. Like I'm missing like classic pieces of music because there's so much goes out there. You can't. So I think that definitely plays a part in it. There's too much. There's too much now.
How are you guys coping with the slowing of pace of life?
I really enjoyed it at first, to be fair. I tried not to read into this whole pandemic, really. Obviously, bar work slowing down. I tried to just keep a lot of my own stuff moving on the side. Only in the last couple of weeks, I've just been like, just a bit fed up with it, mate, to be honest. Like, I have off days, and then I have days where I'm completely fine. And then, I don't know, I think the realization of where we're at is hitting home. And like, some DJs are lucky enough to still be playing out. I'm still playing out. I know you guys are still playing out, and like, just counting my blessings that I'm still even getting to spin music at this point, because it's just looking pretty bleak. But I've been on and off, man. Like some days I'm fine, some days I'm like, I mean, we've been doing this our whole lives, so to go from being fully invested in it 24 hours a day, playing out 4 or 5 nights a week, running the events, to maybe doing a 6 till 10 on a Friday night, like it's a dramatic change, man. Like it's just getting used to it, man. It's a bit weird. It's a bit weird, but I'm not gonna lie.
What about you, Dubl?
Same, ups and downs. Like right at the start, I did enjoy the time off, because you know what it's like. It's a 24-hour job. This isn't a 9 to 5. You don't just stop when the hours stop. Like
I tell my missus that all the time.
Especially like, obviously, like, when you've got all the stuff that you're doing as well, and like with what I'm doing, I've got the various different online platforms as well. So it's not just about the club work. It's about building all the other brands up, and it's just a constant cycle. So for the first part of it, I kind of just switched off a bit, took time, started having breakfast with my son for the first time in 8 years.
I love that.
That's proper.
So, it was like, I kind of enjoyed the first part. Around about the middle, so like, I think it was about May, June time, I felt a bit down, to be honest, because everything was changed. I was saying to you before we started, like, the roles changed in my house. So I was no longer like the breadwinner, so to speak.
Dubl's on daddy daycare now. He's loving it.
Yeah, that's it. I'm doing school runs in the morning, in the afternoon. And it's tricky. I won't lie. Like it's tricky. And especially in lockdown, when Roman was out of school, I was really struggling to get my body clock back. So I was still wide awake at 4 a.m. And then at the time he was 7, I've got a 7-year-old boy kicking me in the face to get out of bed at 8 o'clock in the morning. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it was, it was tricky. Now that he's in school, so he's been in school for like a month now, I've been able to completely shift my body clock. So I go to bed at like 11 o'clock at night now. Yeah. I'm up at 7. So 11, 12, I go to bed. I'm up at 7 to get everything ready for the day. And then the positives, I'd say, out of it, I've been able to, so I've spoken about it a few times on the Clart, like the radio editing business that I had just on the side. I've really put a lot of focus into that, and it's growing. Like it's growing, and it's got the potential by next year, by New Year, I should say, to have replaced DJing. Like
that's amazing.
The income I was getting from DJing will be replaced by this.
It is sick to see so many DJs using their like creative nous to implement new ways of moving outside of actually DJing. Yeah. Well, it's not really a radio station, but you know, possibilities. But just in general, man, I've seen so many people flipping their hustles. Like G2's going ham on his video editing now. Like Dubl's doing his obviously music cleaning business and whatnot. Like I'm tapping into new bits with the streaming and what I'm doing with Compound. Like it's yeah. I think people are being forced to just use their creative ways and, you know what I mean, and just implement different stuff. And I think it's been sick. It's been sick to see, man. Everyone's flipping new hustles, which is dope.
And you know what? Like I say this to, I had a conversation with Hanif, and he was saying, "Oh, it's been a bit of a waste of a year," and I don't think it's a waste. Like I've learned a lot outside of work and DJing in this year, like just with my marriage and things like that, and just spending time with things that I never used to do. Like imagine someone said to you last year when you're playing 5 gigs or 6 gigs a week and you're shattered, exhausted, go, oh, you'll have 5 months where the government will give you like a bursary and you can get to do whatever you want by just sitting at home. You would have been like, nah, that's sick. But now that we have it,
when you put it that way,
yeah, now that we have it, we're like, oh, I can't believe it. We're missing. I mean, like we always focus, like, as it's human nature, we always focus on like the whack, the bad sides. But when there's a lot of good that's come out of it, like spending time with people that you love, working out, eating healthier. Yeah, I definitely, and looking at other ways to be creative and making yourself pandemic proof, like yourself, Dubl, like you'd be able to make income without even leaving your house. And at some point, you could probably train someone to do the tracks, and that would be residual income.
It's funny you say that. I was having this conversation with someone in the gym this morning, and that's another good thing about this. Now the gyms are open. Like that's where I go to clear my head. And
yeah, the gym is key right now. I don't know what to do about that.
Both are really on it with the gym, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'd be lost without the workouts, right? That's the only thing keeping me sane at the minute.
No, I love that.
But with DJing, and obviously you two will know, if you are not available, it's not possible to kind of send someone in your place. You've just got to either take the L or hand it over completely to someone else. Whereas with the radio edit business that I'm building, it's scalable. Mm-hmm. When I get to the point where I'm like, I physically can't do any more work, I just show someone how to use the software and the methods.
That's something that can be done anywhere as well, bro. Like you can do that on the road.
This was the point. This is why I decided to design the business this way. I could disappear to Thailand or Jamaica or anywhere for 6 months and still work as much and earn the same amount of money.
And you could at some point, you would have to get people to help you out and do the software for you. You could pay them, but then you're still making money while sitting by a pool.
And that's the thing. So it's entirely scalable. It's a very scalable business, which it's something I always looked towards with DJing. How can it be scalable? When I get to a point that I've either got too much on or don't want to do it myself, how is it scalable? And I never had the answer when I was just club DJing. But this is it now.
It's easy to get lost in the loop when you're just doing club work so much, and you get caught in the hustle of just because you do your gig, you get home, you get in bed, you get up, you eat, and you're preparing to go to the next bloody gig. Like the days just kind of roll into one, and you don't even have time to think about, like you say, doing track wise and setting up your other stuff. Like this has allowed everyone to just tap in. So a bit of normality as well, man. We don't live normal lives, guys. like we've actually been able to be a bit like normal, whatever normal is. So I mean, I've enjoyed that side of it for sure.
And even just like listening to, like, I got to read a little bit more this year, listen to other people's podcasts. I always listen to you guys, listen to the Mike Tyson podcast. I don't know if you guys heard
that is the sickest podcast. Tyson's crazy, man.
Yeah, brilliant, isn't it?
Brilliant.
I listened to one with Damon Dash yesterday, and he was talking about that's like we're saying, residual income. People don't realize how important it is to have residual income. Is when you make money when you're not working. And us DJs, like you said, Dubl, we only ever really make money when we're at the job. Even when we're not ill, when we're not there and we're ill, we don't make money because we're sick. Like,
sick pay, no leave,
so having some sort of business, whether it's investing in property or investing something like in a business, like I'm currently doing something with a friend of mine where it's kind of like an agency where we supply DJs to venues, because a lot of venues haven't got a clue. Like if you're a restaurant, we currently do all of the gauchos nationwide where we supply DJs for. They haven't got their speciality is
amazing,
doing great customer service and great food in a restaurant. They don't really know who's a good DJ or bad DJ. Let the specialists do that job, and that way I can supply DJs and not have to be there myself for all of it. But yeah, I just, this sort of time has kind of made emphasis on things like that, like you said, just to slow down and take a bit of perspective on it. When do you think we'll get back to
the golden question? Do you know, bro? Do you know what? Yeah, I remember in the middle of the pandemic, I was like, "Oh, it's my birthday at the end of October. Like, definitely gonna surely life is gonna be back to normal by then. That's gonna be fine." And then I've started DJing again. Like I'm playing out and thinking, "Oh, this is perfect." And then boom, the 10 o'clock curfew hits out of nowhere. I was like, "Bro, now I'm thinking like early summer next year, man. Before we some kind of normality on, like, I could be completely wrong, but I'm just struggling to see. The UK don't know how to behave in it, so you give them an inch and they run a mile, like Liverpool and Manchester and stuff. Like people.
Yeah, you guys are letting team down out here, guys.
Oh, bro, it's like people just don't listen. Like Liverpool, especially, it's messy, man. Like the club, I played the club on Friday, finished at 10, and the streets are just it's like.
But bro,
it's like 4 a.m. in London.
This goes to show
heaving, it's gridlocked.
Bro,
everyone's getting pissed in the street.
Out of touch with everything that the guys in charge really are.
Oh, massively.
They're so out of touch with it that they didn't even know that's part of the culture. Bro, I was just chatting with someone yesterday. They went out at the weekend and they were like, yeah, this 10 o'clock curfew was a bit mad because we had to kick out at 10 o'clock and we went to someone's house for a house party, about 40 of us.
Right. I shouldn't even laugh. I shouldn't laugh. But it was obvious that was obvious. It was obvious.
But even if it's not house parties, everyone's kicked out at 10.
Mm-hmm.
How are they getting home? Trains, buses. So everyone's getting on the train or the bus.
I think they're trying to review that now, aren't they? The government are trying to review the 10.
They have to, bro.
So apparently there's a meeting in Parliament tonight, apparently, about checking over the curfew restrictions and whether they're going to lift it or not. So I think this time tomorrow we'll probably know a little bit more.
I think they have to. It has to be staggered. Otherwise, it's like if you have a kid and you are so strict on them, you're not allowed to go out. You're not allowed to go out. You're not allowed to drink. You're not allowed to drink. And then when they hit 18 and go to university, they go crazy. Yeah. Like a lot of Asian kids are like that. Like they're from strict parents, and then when they go to uni, they go freaking wild. You've got to give people like some leeway. Otherwise, everyone's going to go mental. But we'll see what happens, man.
It's actually a bit surreal, isn't it? Like a curfew on all venues and restaurants. Like it's
like they're our parents, aren't they? And
it's mad, right?
It's worse than that. I think I said this before. Like, if this time last year, if I said to you, next year in the summer, it's going to be illegal to sing and dance in a club.
Yeah,
you two would have laughed your heads at like, you're a dickhead. Why are you saying that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And now it's actually illegal to sing and dance in a club. Like, at this point, it's very easy to get lost down these conspiracy rabbit holes now, because this time last year, certain people were saying this sort of stuff. I don't know if you've heard about like New World Orders and all these deep conspiracies and that.
Yeah.
And like certain people like David Icke, for example, I know he's a very extreme case, but he's been saying all of this sort of stuff for years about like police states and the UK government will take control of everything. They will shut everything down. Like,
I'm not sure I'm digging into it too far as conspiracies. I just think the way everything's been handled here has put us way further back than the way other countries have behaved and approached this pandemic. Like, I feel like we've been so incompetent and the decisions have been silly. Like, even looking at, say, I don't know, like Dubai, for example, like they're doing really well over there. I know a few like European places are doing well.
They were headed for another lockdown.
I feel like we're so far behind, bro. Like, I feel like people are laughing at us, man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I mean, my point anyway was like, I think it's going to be impossible to predict when we're going to get back, because all the stuff that this time last year seemed very, very extreme. Like this time, what is this time next year going to look like? If you look at the changes that have happened in our society over the last 12 months.
Even just from March to now, to now, bro, like I feel like the way the whole country is run in general is flipped.
Yeah. So just 6 months then. What are the next 6 months going to look like?
It's all dependent on a vaccine, I think. Well, as soon as they have one, then things will start getting relaxed. And I've read that they potentially might have one before Christmas, but God knows. No one really knows, do they? So,
how do you feel about the vaccine?
Do you know what? I'm very cautious about how I'm going to talk about all of this, because it's easy for us to say, we're worried about clubs and we're worried about curfews and our lives are really affected by it. Yeah, but I don't personally know anyone in my close family that have actually caught it and passed away. So there are people out there that have family members or mothers or fathers that have died of COVID as one of their situations. So for me to make a quick snap judgment on whether I'm not going to take a vaccine on something like that is really insensitive, because I haven't been through what certain people have been through.
Okay, that's fair. That's
fair. But yeah, I know people that won't take the vaccine because they're worried that it might have something, and I do understand where they're coming from. I do sound like I'm someone that's sitting on the fence here, but
it's definitely
everyone
sitting on the fence.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'm not sure how I feel about it. To be fair, like I think only time is going to tell, and we see how these things even roll out, like how close a vaccine is, or like you say, I don't really know. No one in my immediate family's had it. One of my friends in Manchester did have it, and he was a super healthy guy. He works at Man City. He's a coach. Like, he's a really healthy, fit dude, and he was on his deathbed. He made a full recovery in the end, but he said, look, he wouldn't wish it on anybody, to the point where he just felt like he was being suffocated. Like,
he's a coach as well, so he must have been healthy.
Yeah. So like, he's the only person I know, but yeah, we'll see, man. I need a piece of Martin's positive energy. I feel like this guy can flip any negative into a positive. Like, if I chilled with Martin every day,
right, you're welcome.
I'd be a much happier guy.
Yeah. Just look at Andy. Andy's a perfect example. That guy never stopped smiling.
Andy's smile is like glued.
All right, let me tell you about Andy. He was a miserable git till he met me, man.
Really?
Dude, you know what, Andy? Let me tell you a story about how we first met. So we did a freshers fair. So you know when you go to freshers fairs where people sign up, students sign up at their university for societies. Like, if you're a fresher, you'd sign up to a football team. But we'd have our milkshake stand there to try and get as much data, emails, and let people know about a student night. So we're at UCL. Andy is, if you don't know what UCL is like one of the finest academic institutes in the world. It's like one down from Oxford and Cambridge. And Andy was doing economics there. So he's legit a super intelligent guy. And then he had his mix CD with him at a freshers fair on his first week at uni. He gave it to me. And I thought, this guy seems pretty cool. He's got a good manner about how he gave it to me. I put it in my back pocket, and then I must have sat in the car and it snapped, and I lost contact with him. And then,
I'm not listening to this.
Yeah. And then he goes, and then like a month passes, and he saw me at an event. He goes, you haven't got back to me about my mix. And I thought, we need a new DJ, because you know what it's like being a promoter. You've got to run around doing like the till, check security okay, check DJs are fine, and you've got 1,000 things that you got to do. So we needed another DJ in the squad, and then I put him on. The first day he was late by about 5 minutes, and the club doors were open.
Oh, Andy!
And he was at 10:05, and then I go, "Where have you been?" And you could tell he's just been running, and he was late. And then I had 2 copies of just before the club opened, just full clip gangster. You know, it says Big L, rest in peace. on each deck on CD. And then he came in, and then he was like an 18-year-old student, and I walked away. And when I was walking away, I could just hear him juggling it. And then at that point, I thought, we got to keep this kid. This kid is fucking shit, man. But yeah, that's how Andy started out DJing in London, and now look at him. But yeah.
How long ago was that then, Smoove? How long?
That was like maybe 2 years after I graduated from uni, so like 2007 or something like that. A long time ago, man.
Okay.
So Andy must have graduated 2011 or 2010, something like that. Yeah. So then he's just been DJing with us ever since then, and I think he took a year out to work and then realised that DJing's way more fun to make a living, and then that's what he put on gas, and this is where he's at now, man.
I feel like you two complement each other so well, like just in regards to your style of DJing and like your personalities and the way you are like on socials and with your like your mic work and stuff. Like you two are like you got that. The synergy is there, like it does like two peas in a pod.
Yeah, no, we get on really well. It's like you guys are the jam guys. Like you just like I listen to Andy, even though I will always listen to his opinion. I'll always respect what he says. I may not always agree, but would always there's a big respect between us both, and like that's my dude, man.
That's my guy.
Yeah. But like, there's so many DJs that I respect. Like I class CJ Beats as. Do you know what? In because it's our generation of DJs, he is the best. Like I think technically he's amazing. Like I've never seen him not struggle in a club, and he's always given people opportunities as well. Like I think I've heard you guys talking about that on his podcast, and like I got him to play at my wedding. Man, he's that guy. I have so much respect for people like him, Jonesy, Volatile, you guys. There's so many people in our scene that is super cool.
Yeah, big up CJ. To be fair, like I think we've had this conversation about CJ.
I think he comes up. He comes up on the pod.
Comes up all the time.
Almost as much as
not been on it yet.
Almost as much as John.
CJ's not been on yet.
And he's super intelligent, and he's so like. Do you know when he was one of the first people I called at the start of the pandemic, because he wasn't very active, was he? He didn't jump on and did any streams. I've called him. I thought I'll see how he is, and then I go to him. I ask him, "How you doing, CJ? What's been going on? How you feeling? Like you worried about DJing?" And he goes, "No, I'm not really worried about DJing. My mind is trying to think out how can I help out in this pandemic? Like what skills do I possess that could possibly help, like in a hospital, or could help in that situation?" I thought you're such a G. Like not only are you a bad boy DJ, but you've got such a rounded perspective of life. Yeah, he'd be a great person to have on this podcast.
And
we do need to get CJ on actually, Dubl. We can make that happen.
I definitely messaged him about it. I think
he got aired.
No. I actually didn't. We had a conversation. Me and him had a conversation. I remember last year I said to him like, "Oh, we need to get you on a Podclart." I remember him saying, "Yeah, send me a date," and then I think I've aired him. I don't think I've sent him a date.
Dubl. Come on, mate.
Next week's guest, CJ Beats.
CJ,
aka Wide Awake.
100%.
I've not spoken to CJ for ages, man. We had some sick nights at Jam back in the day. He used to play all the time. A couple messy ones as well.
When are you bringing Jam back?
So, you know, we tried to have conversations about it over lockdown, and it's just I don't know, man. Like, how can we even bring that back now? Like,
and you guys are faces as well, so it might be.
I don't think Jam is a brand that you can bring back with these restrictions.
Yeah.
It definitely needs to be a venue that we can just pack out and people can just get lit, because like this whole 6 till 10 and the restrictions, like me and Fusion are working on a brunch at the minute, and like it'll be sick. Like, well, I mean, the people are coming through, and like it'll definitely be a good event, but it's just not going to be the same. But like you say, we've got to try and like we want to give the people something, and in Manny especially, there's not really been a lot to do in regard to like going out and letting your hair down a little bit. So
you'd be surprised how good it is. And women, there's one thing I've noticed at brunches, women really buy into that whole concept of brunches. If you look at your tickets,
I love it.
Yeah.
It's like 80% women.
It is, literally.
So far on the tickets. So yeah, we need some more. We need more guys.
I can't believe we're actually saying that.
We need more. We actually need more guys. Like the girls need some men to look at, right? Fucking heck. So,
how are you doing? Like, where are you playing at, Dubl?
No, nowhere really. there's my boy Shocker B down in Southampton.
Yeah.
He's got Real Urban Music, the brand, and we partnered on several different nights and stuff. We do a lot of business together, like events and that together. He's had a few kind of like brunch type events down in Southampton that he's booked me for. So I think I've done 3, maybe 4 since March. That was mainly July and August. Yeah. But no, other than that, nothing. All of the places that I usually spin are all clubs. Yeah. So there's no bars, there's no places that I've been able to operate on bar license.
Yeah, you were very club heavy in it.
Clubs, yeah. All clubs. So everywhere is currently shut, unfortunately.
How are you finding the volume, Smoove, with like the restaurant and like the bar work? Because obviously it's quite like, are you struggling to like find get the vibe?
Yeah. Do you know what?
It's hard, mate. It's a tough one.
It is hard. And like, we were moving at such a quick pace before the pandemic. Like, for example, the last show at the O2 Arena was that history show that Eve was on. So we were part of that last show that was ever on at the O2 Arena. And then going from arenas to playing at restaurants and like subdued venues it's a bit of a come down. But I don't mind it when it's at restaurants. But I did Cirque a few weeks ago, and that value, like, people are there just for the club experience. So the pressure is for you to turn it up and get people going. You can't do that, and it's frustrating is the word I would use. But restaurants isn't too bad because you're not the focal point as much as the food is. Or
makes it a bit easier, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think that's another reason why the brunches have become so popular and the kind of the thing, because you have to sit down. You're not allowed on the dance floor, so you have to sit down. So you might as well eat when you sat down. And then, you know what I've enjoyed about the events I have done that have been brunch-styled events is there's no pressure to keep people on the dance floor.
That
bit I've really enjoyed, I'll be honest.
Where I would usually pack, like you said earlier, pack like a solid hour-long set of just bangers and bangers, and maybe 1 or 2 of my personal favorites in that hour, but mostly just bangers. You can actually spread it out and go a lot deeper and not have to worry necessarily about vibe music. You can just kind of play whatever, as long as it's good music. It doesn't matter if it's a tune that people can't dance to because they're sat down anyway. So as long as they no, but you know what I mean? Like, as long as
it's true.
They're going to vibe to it while they're sitting down eating and whatnot. So
you can push the boundaries a bit musically. Like, someone like Volatile Stream, it's so good. He does play music I haven't heard in ages, or music that I haven't even heard, and he's pushing the boundaries, but he's making it accessible by sandwiching it with stuff that maybe I will know, or maybe my missus will know. So that is one good thing. We can push the boundaries of music a bit more in this period.
I hope that's something that translates back to the clubs
after
when the clubs come back. I feel like it's definitely
we can dream.
Bring with me. No, it's something I'm going to bring back with me, because I feel like I did that to a certain extent anyway, because I was so mic heavy as well. I can get away with it a lot more because the way I can segue into kind of lesser known songs or whatever, I just talk my way into it. And if it's a new song, or if it's a song that I'm really feeling and it doesn't get the reaction I want, I'm stopping the music, talking to them about it, and starting that song again. And then you notice the difference in vibe. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like that's something I hope across the board that happens in clubs again.
Yeah.
There's been so many songs over the last few months that won't, like, they're not going to get that club respect because we're not really getting a chance to play them out. So like, there's been some hits, man, but you're playing them at 85 decibels in the background. Like, it's, so we're definitely missing out on some heaters, which is a shame.
So I have 2 questions for you. With that being said, do you think a lot of these artists are holding back till when things get back to normal? There's a big catalogue. Like, do you think Drake or DJ Tracy or people that are holding back music for when clubs and there's some sort of normality? And second question is,
I think. Oh, so go on. What's the second?
Yeah. How crazy do you think that those first few weeks back in clubs will be? Do you think it'll be like?
You see the way people are behaving now. When they announce the clubs are, it's gonna be extremely messy.
Even I'm getting turned up, bro. I'm going to be booking hotels near every club that I get booked at. I'm getting fucked up on every single set. I'm going to just ruin it. No, going back to your first question, yeah, I do think some artists are waiting to let the club hits out the bag, but I think other artists, there's a couple of artists in particular that have
I think some have stepped up, man. Some have stepped up and
they've really utilised and executed their strategies perfectly. Like Dutchavelli being
I was going to use him.
Bruv,
He's
Dutch has come up. And I tell you what, yeah, so that tune, the latest one, Bando Diaries.
Yeah.
Absolute club hit, definitely. But the way he's managed to flip it into like a lockdown special was by doing the remix with he's got an Indian rapper.
Yeah, he's done the pure different nationalities, rapper, right? Yeah. I've seen that.
Two guys from an Australian drill group.
That's it.
And a French rapper on there, and turn it into like some international drill remix, which like a song that long wouldn't go off in the clubs. But because everyone's sat down streaming at home, enjoying videos on YouTube and all of that stuff, it turns that song into an experience, because it's like, he even put me on to a couple of people. Do you know what I mean? I never heard of Kekra, who's the name of the French artist. I never heard of him before. And the Albanian guy, whose name I cannot remember.
And that puts him on to those people in those territories as well.
Yeah.
It's clever, man. Like, he's tapping different audiences there, isn't he? Like, he's using his brain. I think that's...
So, stuff like that. But yeah, Dutchavelli's a perfect example, man, because he's done a couple of features. He did the track with Stormzy and Tion as well. Like, he did a couple of songs at the start of lockdown. Like, everything they've executed for him has been amazing.
I feel like the level of videos has gone up, bro, like dramatically through lockdown. I feel like some of the videos that have come out of the UK in the last couple of months have been like, I just feel like they've they've gone up a notch. Like, even like, I don't know, like the Meeks video, like some of the heady bits, even Parsalou's new one. I feel like that video is a masterpiece. And like you say, now nobody's out. They can engage with these visuals and a different aspect of it instead of hearing it in the club. I think some artists are dropping the heat, and then some are definitely holding off. But then again, it's at that point, like, how long do you hold off for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because nobody knows how long we're going to be here.
I'll be really interested to see this week how D Block Europe's album goes, because
I've been away, so didn't one of them get arrested and then? Well, not arrested, but like pulled over by the police and was on live stream at the same time.
Yeah, he was on. It was Young Ads. He was on.
Yeah. He goes, "Why are you pulling me over?" Yeah, I'm wearing chains because I'm young and I'm rich, and like.
He whips
out his backpack and he's like got 50 grand in this backpack, and he's like laughing at the police woman.
No, I didn't.
Bit mad. Yeah. That was only yesterday or the day before. 2 days.
Was it? Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, okay, right. Because I feel like a lot of their stuff, a huge amount of their catalogue was very club-heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for example, they dropped a joint album with Chip and Skepta at the start of lockdown. And I think it did all right. I think it got to like top 3, but it faded out very quickly and disappeared. And I haven't heard or seen anyone speaking or playing any of the songs from that album since its first week of release. So I feel like D Block Europe are definitely a brand that benefit from being in the clubs, like the clubs being open. It's not listen at home and chill music. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree.
I would be interested to see how their album does. It drops on Friday.
I think there'll be a smash anyway, because they have such a big female following, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they'll smash.
Their new joint with H as well is pretty dope, man. I didn't like it at first, but after a few listens, and the video is mad. Video is a bit crazy, bro.
Video is cold.
That's KC again, that, you know.
Is it? He's in one of them really expensive camera crane.
Bro, the guy used to shoot our jam videos for like 200 quid. and now he's shooting for Stormzy, Ed Sheeran, Heady One, flipping H, everybody. Skepta, the lot.
Climb up through those ranks like that. They've done
crazy.
Their hours.
Literally, like, he has put so much work in, and he's just so humble and down to earth. Like, he's just the same guy. And
what's his name?
Casey Loke.
Okay, I'm gonna look into him afterwards.
Yeah, he's on Instagram. It's just Casey Loke. But yeah, we've been. He did our thingy documentary, Dubs.
Oh yeah, so he worked on the Underground Kings documentary.
The American one that we done.
Where you went to the States and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So Casey edited that. He's come a long way, you know.
Yeah.
From that, Jesus, to ragging around in a bloody Jeep with Stormzy on one side, Ed Sheeran on the roof. Flying around in the mud. He did that video as well.
No.
Yeah, man.
Good on him.
Crazy. So yeah, he's had a crazy lockdown. He's been shooting loads, which is sick. So,
Are you guys missing live music at all? Going to see people live and
not really. I'll be honest, yeah. For a music fan, I actually went to a embarrassingly low amount of live events.
Is that because you're always working on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I would go to like the big ones. I mean, I went and saw Drake when he was touring last year.
Yeah.
Even that, to be fair, that's because we did the club tour with Tory, and so we were kind of invited to go. Do you want to come? So we were like, yeah, okay, cool. And then I was given a few tickets and then took Leanne to go and see it. So
amazing concert, right?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, mate, I tell you what, the Drake show. Did you see the bit where he had all the drones?
Oh, the flight, like they were
and they went up and they were
like lights.
They were like stars, kind of like moving above his head.
Unbelievable.
So I went to 2 of those shows during that tour because we went to one in London and one in Amsterdam. And for the London one, we were quite close to like the production pit.
That's where the Ferrari comes at that corner, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, it was flying. It was flying round. They had
that shit was crazy, bro.
It was a Lamborghini, I think it was. And yeah, it was just flying around over everyone's heads. But yeah, I managed to actually, the first time I saw this guy loading loads of things up onto the catwalk, and I was like, "What is that?" And then suddenly I just see them all take off. There's about 24 of them.
Yeah.
Take off all in formation and do all that. Oh, it's incredible, man. Like
the actual drones, yeah.
Actual drones.
Like stars. I went on Romesh's podcast and I said, and they're all old school hip hop fans that follow him, and I said that's the best hip hop concert I've ever been to in terms of production, and I got rinsed for it.
Production wise, I agree. Production wise, it's up there. Whether it's the best show,
but I think in terms of show, we would always go for people like that we like.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, if we want to see, say, when Lethal performs or something like that, you won't match the same energy as Drake because it's different sorts of music. But I personally, I thought production-wise, that was unbelievable.
I think Watch the Throne topped it for me.
That's top.
Watch the Throne's probably the best.
I don't know whether the production value of that show was better than the Drake one though, because
at the time.
At the time maybe, I guess, yeah.
I mean, they didn't have drones, but the setup of it, the way they had 2 stages, it was all the LCD screens and like the graphics. And I think what was the Jay-Z and Beyonce tour called?
You warmed up for him.
Yeah, Beyonce's official DJ.
My claim to fame for life, that is, guys.
That is an unbelievable thing to have on your CV, though.
Oh, brothless. Oh, I'll never forget that one.
How did that even happen, by the way?
Oh, plugged through Live Nation.
Really?
Yeah, I got an email, literally.
That's brilliant.
They came to Manchester. They wanted to know who's the king of Manchester.
What's that?
I said they were looking for who's the king of Manchester.
Oh, bro, when I got the email, I thought it was a lie. I was like, somebody's having me on here. This can't be true.
Yeah,
I'm used to opening up at like the Apollo or, you know. But yeah, it's
used to warming up at Belushi's in Hammersmith, mate. So that's
that show was actually that's one of my favorite shows. I'm not saying that just because I warmed up, but just Jay-Z is probably one of my favorite rappers. Beyonce is probably one of my favorite performers in general. Anyway,
it's amazing.
She is on a different planet. Like anyone who says different, they just don't know. So yeah, that was up there for me. Watch the Throne, the Drake show. There's a couple, man. I love live music. I love concerts. I like the smaller, intimate ones as well. I went to see Neo last year. She was out of this world.
Really?
Oh my days! That was at the Albert Hall in Manchester.
Okay.
It was a more intimate one, but she she's just sat in the middle of the crowd on this little stage, just like sat with her legs over the side, and she sound. You know when someone sounds like the record?
Yeah.
Like just amazing, like the clarity. Yeah, she was up there. Seen some good shows, man.
Yeah.
You've done some big shows.
I was going to say you've played a lot of these shows, Martin.
You did,
like
you did the arena tour last year, right? You guys did an arena tour last year, right?
No, we did it this year. So like we were the last shows. We did the Kissery show. So it was Nelly, Shaggy, Eve. Who else is on that lineup?
That's a classic one already. Nelly and Shaggy. All right.
Salt and Pepper. And then whenever she does tours like in Australia or something like that, we did one with Usher. We did one with not Nelly, Ja Rule and Ashanti. So yeah, it was good. The arena tour in the UK was the best one, I think, because you never get to do that sort of stuff in our hometown. And even now for Eve, like I think she loves doing the UK stuff because that's her home now. So yeah, it's wicked. Like that's one thing I'm very grateful and loves doing still is being a tour DJ. It's freaking amazing, and you've done it. You both have done it, and people forget that it's just turning up and all you got to do turn up and scratch or turn up and host. There's so much more to being a tour DJ. Like the best tour DJ. So I think the best tour DJ in this country is Smasherelli. He's the blueprint of how to behave.
He is one of the goats, man. He's been around.
The blueprint of how to conduct yourself. You don't see him on stage with a selfie with the artist. He's always concentrating. He's always the guy to go to. Like for Steph, for Wretch, for when he used to do Estelle, he would always be the go-to guy. Like he'll deal with the production manager. He'll deal with the venue. He will be that point of contact. He will make sure that everything runs smoothly, and he's like the art professional. Like Smasherelli. Charles is also another amazing tour DJ that happens to just go about his business really well. But yeah, people forget that there's a big business element and communication element of being a tour DJ.
What is it that makes a good tour DJ then, Martin? Coming from someone that's kind of done, like you've done a heap of like big shows, from like small ones to giant arenas. Like what are the key factors that make like a successful tour DJ, would you say?
Personality. I think being able to get on with your artist is probably the most important thing. You've got to, if you don't get on with the artist,
it's curtains.
That's like the foundation, isn't it? You have to get on first.
Chemistry, man.
And do you know what? Despite however much she's achieved and whatever she's doing, like Eve's still now on the biggest TV show in America, a daytime TV show every day of the week. It's called The Talk. It's her, Sharon Osbourne, people like that. It's like the equivalent of Loose Women. And
snap! I've not even seen that.
Yeah, she does that every day in the US. And it's a huge TV show. She's doing it live from the UK now, I think, but because of the pandemic. But whenever when I go to LA, I'll go to show, and it's like they have like big A-list. Like no matter what she does in the world, if she's in the movies like Barbershop, she'll still listen to my opinion. She may not agree with everything I say. Like I say, look, can we do this? What do you think? I always find that with successful people, they always listen.
Open mind.
Yeah, and whether or not they agree, they will listen to your opinion. So I'd say getting on with people, having personality on stage, loving what you do, and just being able to get on. Like when you're on a tour bus for 3 months, like we were with 6 people that we didn't really know, like dancers, but then they become family. You've got to be able to get on with people, and I think that's important. And I don't know, just those are the things. And obviously being savage at what you do as a DJ, that goes. No, but you know what I mean? Like,
that's savage, you know.
Like, you guys are perfect candidates for being a tour DJ because there's not a scenario that you have not been in that you can't cope with. And that is so important. Like, just say one CDJ went off, or and then you've got to rock with instant doubles, or just say both CDJs went off and you just got to rock up eternal mode, or at one point. Mate, this is the worst thing that happened to me was we did a show in London and Eve brought out Ray for Let Me Blow Your Mind, and Ray was doing the Gwen Stefani bit.
Okay.
And I always got the Let Me Blow Your Mind bit on a pivotal part of the show, and the track didn't cue. It was the first time I was using record box. And oh my God. So Ray was about to come out. Eve was on stage waiting for the drop, and it didn't drop. And then it was silent. And then she looked at me and goes, "What happened?" And like Eve was just standing. She's
styling it out for you.
And Americans are that much better at doing it. Like,
yeah, they are, man.
Like she's a stand-up comedian. She was reeling out jokes, and then it was 2 or 3 minutes. So she had to go off stage at one point, and then we had to figure a way out of it, and then we got it back on. But that was completely my bad. Like, and that was because I was too laid back about kicking up a fuss about the equipment.
Okay.
It wasn't the equipment that I was using. Like I had to use the equipment that the DJ was using before, so I didn't have time to set up. I didn't have the proper mixer that I would normally want. So from now on, even though it makes me look like a bit of a dick or a diva,
you little diva, Martin.
Nah, you know what? That kind
sometimes
of shit the technical rider. People don't realize how important that technical rider is. Like it is so important. I've been exactly the same. I've been very, very laid back in the past about. I want to be easy. It's actually Martin. We were saying this yesterday because for everyone listening, I messaged Martin at like 6 p.m. yesterday to see if he wanted to do the podcast today.
Yes, he's come through quick.
Everything was organized and locked in, and I was like, "Bruv, you're so easy to work with." And you even said that you're like, "Yeah, I want to be easy to work with," and that I think is such an important thing, and that's how I operate as well. I want to be easy to work with. I don't want to cost everyone else more money just to get me in. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there has to be a certain level because I've turned up at clubs and you guys will have seen it on my Instagram and my Twitter.
You bring your own.
The mixer, well, yeah, I do take my own now, but the mixer that's in the club is older than all three of us combined.
Yeah.
With no faders left on it and all of this stuff. And it's like, how can I possibly do what you've hired me for if all the equipment here is dusty and shit and old? And it's like, there has to be like a technical rider. If you're hiring someone in for something, it has to be just the industry standard that they're going to send a technical rider. Not, oh shit, this guy's asking for a mixer now. He's a bit of a diva. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not.
And you have to, especially as an artist DJ. Like, it's fair enough if that mess, if it went 2 minutes silent on my own set in a club, I could deal with it, and it's my problem. But it's not me. It's Eve that's catching.
Other people are depending on you. It's a different ball game, isn't it?
So I have to be a dick about it, and not a dick. I have to be professional about it and say, look, this is the way it has to be. If you want the best show, that's the way it's got to be.
I feel like that's the key skill as well. Going back to what Martin just said about like the song's not cued in the way Eve has just styled it out. Like I feel like sometimes you can get caught in situations where something goes tits up, but you got to kind of like own like the mistake or the fuck up instead of, because some people's heads will just completely fall off. There's been situations where that's happened, and I'll just end up laughing at myself on the microphone, and the whole room will then warm to it. Whereas some guys will just be like, "Oh, let me climb under the booth."
I learned that lesson really early on at university. Like, I don't know if you remember a guy called DJ Swing, rest in peace.
Yeah,
he was a legendary DJ. He came to our uni and he used the turntable on his first song. It kept on jogging, and everyone started booing. And like, I never even heard him use the mic before. And then he stopped the track and goes, I went to Q University. If you're going to boo me like you mean it. And then I go, that ain't good enough. Boo me like you mean it. I've come up from London and I'm rubbish up here. My first song ain't even running properly. Boo me like you mean it. And then he managed to just get everyone on his side, and then he dropped a banger afterwards. So like, that was seeing people like Shorty and Swing and people like that do it. It's such
that's a classic way to get around the booze, right?
That's amazing.
I love. I'm going to be using that one going forward.
Just in case I need it, I've stored that one.
Swing was legendary. I only got to DJ with him twice before he passed away, but he was, and that was like when I was 19, 18 or something like that, and he was freaking amazing at controlling a situation. He's like, you could tell people like him, Shorty, Manny, and all that. They're all from that sort of era where they're just freaking great at situations like that, man.
I feel like you had to be back then, innit? You didn't have anything to fall back on like it. And reputation was a massive thing. Like your reputation as a DJ and the go-to guy, it all felt, do you know what I mean? It all fell on how you dealt with those kind of situations. Because if you flopped, people ain't fucking with you anymore.
Yeah.
And that's it. You're out of the game. It's not like nowadays where everyone's got a very short memory and it's no one really kind of cares about that stuff. Back then, you really had to prove yourself. I'll tell you what, you're lucky actually. When you were saying that you messed up the record, you're lucky that Eve didn't do to you what Biggie did to his DJ.
Oh my days, that classic video.
Legendary clip where he kept skipping the record.
And he threw the bottle of water at him.
Yeah.
Bro, but this is the thing, man. They'll never know the struggle of using a legit toe and arm and needle on the record. Like, if the bass is off or the desk is a bit shaky, like, it's curtains, man.
Yeah.
Biggie just started dashing
funny.
water.
I laughed, Martin. I laughed when you said about if one of the CDJs stops working, because one of my favorite, actually no, definitely my favorite tour that I've ever been a tour DJ on was with Waka Flocka.
Yeah, that looked amazing.
Oh mate, it was so good. Like, but it's funny. There's 2 points actually. The first thing you saying about you having to get on with the artist.
Yeah.
So I flew out to Belgium to meet them. So they flew from the States straight to Belgium, and I flew from here to Belgium to meet them. Met up with them at the hotel. So I never met him before, never even spoken to him. It was Hookid that sorted it all out. So I'd never crossed paths with Waka before.
Yeah.
And so basically I went up to the hotel room and the tour manager was there as well. And he was like, right, I'll leave you guys to it. And Flocka was just like, I expected him to be how his music was. Yeah. Very loud, very turned up.
I bet you were sat there like, what do I say?
Intimidating, right?
What do I say to him?
And the guy's tall as well. Like, I'm 6'3" and he's taller than me.
He's hench.
Yeah. He's a tall guy, bro. He's like, he must be like 6'6" or something. Like, he's ridiculously tall. And anyways, like, the point I'm getting to was he actually straight away said to me, he was like, right, so if you're the tour DJ for Europe, like, we need to be friends. Like, let's be friends. And so we just sat down and literally like the next 2-3 hours, we were just chopping it up, just talking about
that's sick.
Stuff, life, so like everything and anything that came up. We were just the two of us in the room, just chopping it up, talking. And this was the day of the first show, so we hadn't done the first show yet. And that was it. It was the next 2-3 hours we were just sat.
I love that.
Yeah, just getting to know each other, man, and just chatting.
You still keep in touch?
Yeah, we still do.
Yeah, it's important. Like, you have to be friends, man. I think it shows. Like you said, stylist with me and Andy, it showed we are actually genuinely mates.
Yeah.
Same with Eve. Like, she's a mate. Her husband Max is a mate. It's you can't fake. People will always know when something isn't authentic. So yeah.
When you were younger, Martin, like, Eve was probably like one of the, she's obviously still a superstar now, but she was like super huge. So like for you to now be sat on here and you're telling us how like she's like your mate and stuff, like, did you ever think you would get your DJ career to that point? Like,
no, you know what, you never think
that's it sounds surreal listening to it, man.
No, you never think of it, things like that. Like, you know what, it's like you guys, you're in a process, you're continually going forward, and you never, like, when I got married and like, they were all at the wedding and like Trevor introduced speech and stuff like that. I thought, fucking hell, man. Like, when I was 16, I waited outside Radio 1 to get Trevor to sign a CD. And I was introducing my first dance and stuff like that. Those are the days you look back on it. But I don't, when you're in the process of moving forward, you don't really have time to look back and look at the wins. I mean, you should really. Having a wife kind of tells you like, oh, you're doing well. You should look back at things like that, and you don't think about it, but you kind of sometimes you do.
It's a non-stop cycle, though, isn't it? I feel like I go through proper lows sometimes, and I don't mean like depression lows, but I get to points where I'm like, shit, have I peaked? Like, is that it? Have I done my best days now? Because you get times like when I did the European tour for Waka Flocka, like I was asked to be his official like tour DJ. That's fucking massive. I was paid to fly around Europe doing shows with him. But then for the 6 months after that, I was back to doing residencies. Like, I was doing my weekly in Eastbourne, another weekly student night in Brighton, and then it felt, even though I'm still active and I'm still making money and doing great DJ sets, I'd had that massive high, and then back to normality is almost like a low. Does that make sense? But then
it makes massive sense. You know what I talked about this branding and stuff. You're in life, you're always going to have highs and lows. You should deal with the highs the same way you deal with the lows, and you should be pragmatic and try and keep on that level all the way through, because a lot of DJs, a lot of house DJs actually struggle with this, I think. And like you saw people, I don't know how Eric Murillo passed away or Avicii, all they're doing is experiencing highs. And the come down from that is crazy. And your mental health is going to take a battering from that because you've got all that euphoric moments, and then you've got moments where you're not doing anything, or things like Chris Martin, the lead singer at Coldplay, he struggled with, I think I read something about like the constant highs of playing in a stadium and then trying to keep that sort of good level of high without doing drugs. So whenever he's touring, he always has a rowing machine in his dressing room. So when he finishes, he just goes on and rows. And then he substitutes getting drunk or something with working out and getting the endorphins from that. But it's so important, like, yeah, I played a stadium, sick. Fuck it, you can't live in that moment forever. And then, because otherwise when you're playing a residency, your normal residency, you'll be like, oh, this is shit. I went from hero to zero. But when you started out, you should think of it like this. I'm getting paid to play music in a club, which I'm dreaming about. Like, that's why you should always look at the good in every situation, even though it's hard to at times. But I think just trying to manage your level into one sort of smooth transition. But I totally get your situation.
I had quite a big low after that tour, and it was because I think at the time that was like the biggest thing that I had done. Do you know what I mean? And it was the biggest opportunity as well. A US superstar rapper has brought me on tour, like, and then I'm just back to just being by myself at home, driving myself to there's no tour manager, there's no flight to get on today. Do you know what I mean? Like the rush, and it is just a huge come down. But yeah, I think a couple of weeks after that, I was not, like I say, not like a depressed low, but like in my head kind of thinking like a career low.
What next?
Yeah, I agree.
Like, have I peaked now? Is that the pinnacle? Am I now on the way down? Like, is that it?
Nah, you should never think like that, man. Like,
I don't now, but it was at the time. It was something I struggled with because there was a couple of opportunities like that came up, and yeah, it was very.
I think Gary Vee was talking about something like this the other day. He was like, He was like, you got to sit in the middle, like Martin said, with the highs and the lows. Like, don't get over gassed off the highs, but like don't like go too far off the lows. Like, you've got to kind of just keep the same mind frame around the highs and the lows, so you're not getting pulled all the way up there and then you're falling down here like a couple of weeks later. Like, it's finding that.
It's a roller coaster, man.
It is, like, and especially for what we do. Like Martin, you must like you do like bigger shows and you travel a lot, and like Miami to the UK to the Middle East to doing the gumbo and everything. Like, you, like, how do you balance the highs and the lows of living that jet setting life that you've been living?
Wait a minute, before you answer that, are there any lows? Because my impression is you are non-stop, like a new day, a new country, like consistently.
There are lows, but like, for example, I think the people you hang out with is really important. Like your girlfriends, your wives, your friends. That, like, for example, I could play for like the biggest, like Barack Obama, and I tell my missus, "Oh, I DJ for Barack Obama today." She wouldn't care. She'd be like, "Oh, that's good." Well, you like,
well done, Martin.
That's nice.
You're a nice person. That's all she'd probably care about. But so like having people that don't really give a damn about what you're doing and having a separation of your life outside of work at home is kind of a good situation as well. And like I said, man, like, deal with the highs the same way you deal with the lows. And just like, I know this saying sounds really cliche and corny, but just keep moving. If you keep moving, like, there's the stuff you've done in the past is great. The stuff you're going to do in the future is going to be even better. So just keep going.
Yeah.
That mentality there. Need a slice of that.
Definitely. Oh, before I forget it, let me just mention.
Is he talking to someone? Is he talking to someone else?
Well, my missus has come out for a cigarette, so yeah.
Martin's got his production team behind.
I was going to say he's got a producer on the side.
No, that was not
premeditated or anything. Over there.
He's got a camera there. He's got a sound person there. He's got a whole production team behind him. No, actually, what I was going to say before I forget this story, when you said about doing the tours with only one CDJ working,
Yeah, yeah.
I laughed, and it was because that very same show, the first show I did with Flocker, he likes to turn up. He's a very high energy performer. And usually on the rider, they have like 10 small bottles of water, you know, like the 300 or 500 ml ones. Well, this particular promoter decided to get 10 big bottles of water instead of the small ones, right? So he stood on the stage in front of me, opened the bottle of water, and as the song drops, because he's got huge dreads as well, he just goes
spraying everywhere. Oh my!
2 bottles of water in his hand, and he goes like this to fling them back. But as he's done this, I've got like 2 liters of water's just gone all over the decks, all over the mixer. No. And so as he's flung it, started moshing, everyone's going nuts. Like literally 2 seconds later, all music.
No.
All of the music stopped.
What did you do?
I'm covered in water, the mixer, CDJs, my laptop, which was this laptop, I think. So it was the one, it was a brand new laptop at the time with the laser cut logo that we were talking about. So all of that, brand new laptop. And I was like, shit, what do I do? So first thing I did was grabbed one of his towels, because he has towels on his rider because he's a sweaty bastard. And dried my laptop and then started drying everything. But he's just there. Everyone's going mad. And I think like they know the music's off. But I think they didn't realise this
styling
was difficult.
Yeah, they're all singing along, probably.
It's a pull-up and stuff like that. And it was...
I thought it was a pull-up.
It was a case I had to do the rest of our set together off of instant doubles. And this is the very first live show we've ever done together. So
that goes back to that, what we said before, like thinking on your feet when something goes tits up. So you did that whole set on the one...
Yeah, first time I've ever done a live set with him and had to do it off of one deck. But it's amazing because I've got the video. I have it on video of that exact moment.
I've seen it, Dubl.
Yeah, I posted it up not long after it happened because I had a GoPro behind me. So you see the whole club and you see Flocker with the bottles of water. You see it got everywhere, mate.
You know what? And if you had not been an experienced DJ, an experienced order situation, you would have...
That would have been it.
Been swallowed up. And you know, when we first started out, we probably think, oh, what, how are we going to get experience? I mean, I'm new, I'm hungry. Then what's an experienced DJ got over me? But experience really does count for a lot.
Yeah. 100%.
You can't buy them situations, like you say, dealing with all them things, and then it adds up over the years to the point where you can just handle anything on the fly kind of thing. You don't even have to think like twice about it. Like Dubl, you probably just went into autopilot and just handled that without even having to think too much because of the experience that you've already gained. There was
definitely massive panic. Like I mean, I dealt with it, but the adrenaline went, my heart was pumping and I was shitting my pants. But I dealt with it.
Do you guys get nervous for these big arena sets? Like, because it's completely different. When you're in a club, you're kind of like it's like a safe space for me, the DJ booth. If I'm in like a club or a bar, like when you're in your little spot, when you do the big shows, you're on stage, you're the focal point, you're exposed, the lights are on you. Like, do you get a different kind of nerves for them, and do you approach them sets a little bit different? Dubl, but either of you guys, you've both done enough shows.
If I'm tour DJing, the thing that I do differently is I will always have the backup songs on a USB ready rather than my laptop, because it's not my show, it's their show, and if I fuck up, that's their name. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like,
true.
Like the last one I did, Tory Lanez's thing, the club tour. Oh, Tory Lanez's thing was shit. The music kept stopping. It's not gonna be like, oh, the DJ was shit. Even though he'd probably cuss me out anyway. I would always, which on normal DJ sets, I don't have a backup ready. I have a USB with me, but it's not in there ready to go. But if I'm doing an artist show, it's always ready to go with the thing. Last big show I did that wasn't with an artist was Wildlife Festival. I think it was like 20,000 people there. And I was in between Damian Marley and Stormzy's set.
Oh, yeah?
Like you really pushed the boundaries in that.
That was an amazing show. And 30 seconds before I went on, I nearly threw up.
Really?
Like I'd never played to that amount of people before, and I looked out. So with festivals, you come from like the backstage bit through the stage. Like
this is the ocean of people waiting.
There was so many people I couldn't see faces. Does that make sense? Like there's just so many people, and the way I got round it is I thought to myself, "This is going to make you laugh." I thought to myself, even if I do the worst set ever, there's so many people here that they won't have time to leave. So like, that was what I said to myself. I was like, I could do the worst possible set. I could even just stand there with no music on. Stormzy's coming up in about 45 minutes anyway. So there's always going to be people here. Like, no matter what I do, this dance floor will not have the chance to empty. So I was just like, so I've just got to fucking get on with it. And it turns out like I smacked it. Like, I did a really good set.
How long was the set that day? Did you get? Was it an hour?
I think it worked out.
That's an amazing slot to have, man. Between them two, as well. Amazing.
Because there was 2 changes in equipment. You know, with festivals, like Damian Marley had a full band, so they had the runners had to take the band stuff off and then wheel all my stuff on. And then I think there was a 5-minute gap between my set and Stormzy's while they remove all of my stuff. Stormzy has an incredible light show as well, so they had to put all of Stormzy's lights and stuff in place. So I think out of the hour slot, I think I did 50 minutes. So
first couple of songs, how were your nerves then, bro? You said you nearly shit yourself before you got
I was nearly sick. I nearly threw up on myself.
Oh God, where's Martin taking us?
Oh, sorry guys, my battery's run out.
CD settings, here we go. Into the bedroom.
The guy took us into the, I just seen the double bed, I thought, hey, what's going on here?
My battery's run out.
It's not that kind of show. Martin, your turn. Do you approach it differently when you're doing big shows, festivals, or tours?
Do you know what? With an artist, I get nervous as hell when it's with Eve, because if I make a mistake, it's not like Stylist and Dubl said. It's not me that looks bad. Like they think, oh, Eve's show was whack, her music stopped. When really, it's not Eve's fault. It's my fault. Like, because Eve, I don't know if you've seen her live. She sounds just like she does on the CD. Her voice and her delivery and her stage presence is so sick. As a female rapper, she's sick. So she never messes up ever, really. So I get nervous for that. But in terms of like festival stuff for myself or something like that, not really, because I know in the fact that if I've got 40 minutes, it'll be fine, because I'm used to I've done 6-hour sets in clubs to try and hold people in, and like, I am fine with doing a club for 20 people. So if one song is bad, I could lose 10 people and that's half the audience. Whereas now I'm just doing 45 minutes. It's my experience, my 20,000, 30,000 hours that I've done has prepped me for these sort of situations. Yeah. Just like you, Dubl, you thought of the worst scenario, but your worst set that you could possibly have done would still be fucking sick for those
still
people.
At a level, yeah.
Maybe.
Because you were so rehearsed.
maybe.
No. Listen, like, there's levels to this. So, like, no, it wouldn't. Like, you're built for it. Like, you've done your due diligence. You've done your hours. The same with anyone from our generation of DJs. We're fine.
Yeah. I've said it before on here. Like, I feel like when I'm asked to do an hour or 45 minutes, I'm scratching my head like, it's not. Is that it? Like, because obviously we've like built ourselves doing the residency stint, so it's the 4, the 5, the 6 hours. So when it's like 45 to an hour, I'm like, what am I playing here then? I feel like it's not enough. Whenever I'm booked for guest sets, I'm like, oh, can I do like 90 minutes at least?
Yeah.
Or like a 2-hour thing. I feel like an hour is so. It takes me 10-15 minutes to like
warm up. It's
I like to get into my flow a little bit, like build in, even if it's an hour. I still want that 10-15 just to set the pace and set my pace and my style. So yeah, 45 to an hour, I feel like it's not enough, man. But you know, I guess in them situations it's completely different when you're playing on the bigger stage to playing in a club set.
So you guys have done the tour DJing, like you've done Misha, Stylist, and other stuff, and Dubl, you've done Waka and Tory and stuff. Would you consider doing something like that full time? Like, put it in the air if you want to do it. Like
100,
yeah, 100%, bro. Yeah, definitely.
It's funny, Martin, because do you remember the phone call we had last year? I won't say the details.
Yeah.
But do you remember the phone call last year? You said there was an artist. There was an artist looking for a new tour DJ, and actually, like, when I got off the phone, I thought, yeah, you know what? That's actually like the direction that I think I want things to go in for now. And then it didn't.
Mrs. Steven, hey,
come on in. It didn't come to fruition, unfortunately. And when it turned out that it actually wasn't going to become a thing, I was actually really disappointed, because I sort of in my head had thought I'd felt a little bit stagnant with what I was doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had a good amount of residencies and stuff, but it was again, like I was looking for that next step in progression and what can help me get up the ladder even further than I am and build the brand and stuff. And I thought, yeah, actually, you know what? Doing the tour DJing thing with that particular
I really
artist,
do think people like you guys, you two, Jonesy, Andy, Vola, like everyone should. You're young enough to be a good tour DJ's DJ, but you're also old enough to be experienced to handle all of the facets that you need for being a tour DJ. Like, you should put it in the air and say, look, I'd love to be a tour DJ for so-and-so. Do you know what? I put a tweet out, like, this is before I was Cleo Soul's DJ. I said, I'd love to be a tour DJ. And then 2 months later, Ben Scars offered it to me. I don't know. Someone might have seen it and someone must have, like, you should put it out there, man. Like, if you want to do it. And I think you lot would be such good choices for being an artist, tour DJ.
I feel like you can learn so much doing tour sets as well, man. I feel like if you mastered the art of doing that, it puts you on a different level. I feel like you just put yourself in a different conversation when you start taking them kind of things on to doing this club stuff.
No, for sure.
Martin, do you remember the first time you were a tour DJ? And
yeah,
like, the difference between doing like 6 hours in a club to then just doing a tour DJ show. Do you remember?
Yeah, for sure. And it was on a Mobo tour with Cleo Soul, so she'd only do like 4 songs, so it was 8-minute shows, like or like 12-minute shows. So yeah, it was completely different, and you'd be thinking, now what am I going to do for the rest of the day? Like, touring is the majority of the day. Touring is waiting around, sound checking, traveling, and waiting. It is mainly waiting around. So yeah, I do remember that well.
Cleo Soul was sick, man. What happened to her?
She's back with a brand new
album. Still dropping some bits, right?
She's come back recently. She was on Little Sim's album a lot last year, a couple of tracks, I think, last year. She's brilliant. And her fella is a producer as well, a guy called Inflow. Just won an Ivor, what's it called, one of those awards? Ivy Lavello Award, is it, I think?
Ivan Lavello, is it?
Yeah, that's it. He just won an award. He's like a sick producer. So I think the next few years, you'll probably hear more music from her. She will always be in music in some way, shape, or form. But I don't think her intentions have never been to be a pop star. She just wants to make good music.
Good music. Yeah, you can tell.
Ivan Novello.
Yeah, that's it.
Novello. I looked it up.
Ivor.
Ivan Novello. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's won a couple of those. So she's in good hands, and her voice is brilliant. Like, she's a good soul. No pun intended. Yeah, she'll do well regardless.
I wonder what the future of live shows is going to be then, guys. Like, it's not looking like anyone's going to be touring anytime soon, is it?
I think when the clubs are open, shows will come back, and I'm a firm believer. Like, if you're a DJ listening to this podcast, like, don't give up at this hard time. I mean, if you have to go and make money elsewhere, doing a day job, do that. Do what you need to do to survive, but make sure you come back to this, because there will always be a need for DJs. There will always be need for live shows. Youth always need an escapism to party and have a good time. So there will always be a need for this. So don't give up.
Now, you brought up a good point there, to be fair. I've seen a lot of people debating with themselves whether to like go and get a normal job, or some people are like frowning on it, like, oh, they don't want to go and do the 9 to 5. They've been DJing for so long. But it's like you just said, if you've got to go and get that hustle in to make ends meet and cover the bills, but don't quit. Don't quit the music thing. Like, it's just whether, like, hopefully this is just going to be a patch, but if you have to do what you got to do to get it in the meantime, then I don't think there's any shame in that at all. But
do you know what I think a lot of guys might struggle with? The fact that if they've been doing residencies and getting, like, I don't know, say 250 quid for a few hours work, to then have to work an entire week to get that sort of money.
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of the problem is with people, is they're looking at how much was their time worth to the clubbing industry, and where can they make that same money for the same time elsewhere? And the problem is, outside of the music industry, I mean, there are some transferable skills, but not really a lot from DJing. Okay, yeah, you might be a people person, or you might be able to type really quickly now because you can search for tracks. You know what I mean? But like, all of these things, like,
I said you might be able to type really quickly. I'm searching songs on Serato.
No, like, I mean, for example, like, I can touch type. I can write anything on my keyboard without looking at the keys. And the only reason is because the last 10 years I've been on Serato looking for stuff while I'm looking at the screen, not typing. So there's a transferable skill because I can go and be someone's personal assistant, but not for the same money that I was earning in the clubs. So for me, I don't want to go and be a personal assistant because then I'm only earning £30 for that exact. Does that make sense? Like that is that sort of
I get
mentality. I think that is affecting a lot of people and why they might be quite hesitant.
I agree with the money concept that you're saying, but I disagree with the transferable skills that us DJs have. Like, stylists, look what you could be a social media consultant for someone.
You don't want me in charge of your socials.
Yeah, no,
I'll just end up tweeting about football all day.
No, but you could go to a brand and say, look, this is what I've set up. I have set up a Twitch stream of the highest quality. I have done this. I have rehearsed in Photoshop. I know how to design. I can video edit. Those skills right now, in a world where content is king, are gold, man. So, like for example, Max, who runs Gumball 3000, he hit me up about 4 job roles. Then and he goes, do you know anyone that you'd recommend for? And I could show you the roles, stylist, and one you'd smash out the park and you'd probably be all over it. It's just like this. I think DJs have so many skills. We are rehearsing, marketing ourselves. We have to deal with people at management level all the way down to glass collectors. So our communication skills on the whole are quite good on most people. I think there's a lot of transferable skills that we have that is valuable in today's society.
Well, I know it's called when they need a job then.
Yeah.
That's put me in, Martin. I might be skinny in 6 months.
Okay, so I do agree there are a list, because actually I was in a WhatsApp group, and I think it might have been the one that we're all in. And I think it was probably 2-3 weeks ago, I listed a bunch of transferable skills. And so I do agree there are a lot, but my point is which ones can get you the same amount of money for the same amount of hours in another industry. That's my point.
Yeah, you're not going to, but you're going to have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward, because,
of course.
Like, for example, if someone that works in social media and they stop all social media, but then he knows how to DJ, when he gets his first DJ gig, he's not going to get the same amount of money as we are. It's going to take him time to build up to that level. And it's the same for us when we enter another sector. It's going to take our time to prove our worth and take a few steps up. But I think, I agree. We won't get the same amount of money, but that's not the way we should look at it, though, in my opinion.
But I think that's the way a lot of people are looking at it. And I think that's what's holding a lot of people back from entering other industries in survival mode. I don't mean giving up DJing and becoming all this and that, but I mean for now, survival mode. But also you got to look at the fact that a lot of people, like across countrywide, a lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people. So jobs are scarce. Companies aren't hiring because they don't know what the next 6 months are going to look like for their companies. So it's tricky.
I think it's a tough one to take as well, especially when you put so much time and like all I've ever done is music and DJing. So like after 15, 16 years of doing it, all of a sudden the whole industry is like in question. It's making that decision of, do you chase something else, or do you just like create a little hustle and come back to the music? Like it's just a weird time in it for everybody. Like not even just in music, like say people are losing jobs, but for us, it's like everything's just on hold. So what do you actually do in the meantime? But you've got your bills and stuff to pay. So I'm quite lucky that I have my little hustles with the videos and the design, and then we rent out the studio, and like this has its own little income. So like financially that's okay. But speaking to other people, I know some are questioning like their whole thing now. So I guess only time's going to tell, man.
But that's where I think DJs need to look at what they have learned and what skills they have outside of mixing, even to a point, right? Scotty B, perfect example, does DJ lessons. He's teaching a whole new generation of DJs how to why are more people not utilizing that? You've got these amazing skills, you've got all this experience from clubs. So approach the local school, approach the local youth center if youth centers still exist. I don't know, but do you know what I mean? Like all these things, and say, right, I can do DJ lessons for you. Or for example, like you said, with Stylus and the social media stuff, like approach companies, small businesses, and say that I can handle your social media for you. Or even DJs that do mix routines or mixes and video edit that themselves. Put that out there for other DJs. Well, okay, you don't have a camera, you don't know how to do it, I'll do it for you. Do you know what I mean? And like, you look at what skills you can monetize without having to join other industries. It's precisely what I did with the radio editing.
Yeah. Our skills are diverse. That's what I've been saying. Yeah. So there's opportunities.
100%.
Guys, I need to run to the bathroom.
Yes. As well.
Because I'm going to absolutely explode, and we don't want to do that on the podcast.
You're disgusting. Disgusting, man.
Sorry, man. Dubl, I know you've got the school run soon, haven't you, Dubs?
No, not for a while, man. I haven't got to leave for like 45 minutes, so I'm good. So,
well, thank you for having me on here. Second time guest. I appreciate it. I'm an avid listener, and get CJ on here. I reckon he'll be really insightful, especially someone that's held down a national radio show and has a great attitude. And
open the doors for a lot of us, man. We've said it several times on the Clark. Like CJ opened the doors for a lot of us to actually get into the national radio circuit. So
you was actually one of our first guests, Smoove, actually, thinking back. What episode was that, Dubs?
Martin2Smoove was our first birthday guest.
That was it.
When we celebrated our first year of the Podclart, you were the guest for that exact.
So you're 2 years in now, right?
We're about 2.5 years in now.
Yeah, 2.5 years. 2.5 years.
We're not far
slowly.
Yeah, we're not far off episode 100 because it hasn't been weekly. So
yeah, we're on 80. I think today's 86.
88, I think.
88.
I think so.
I've lost count. Flipping out. Someone tweeted us actually saying they let the episodes play all the way through and it went back to the first one, and he said we sound like little kids. Like that's only 2 years ago.
I don't feel like I've changed.
We've not changed much.
It's brilliant. And you've done something that no one else is doing really in the UK, definitely anyway. And I'm an avid listener, so keep going. Thank you for doing, guys.
Thank you for taking time out whilst you're on holiday as well. I had no idea until you popped up on that balcony and I was like, that's not London.
No, thank you for having me.
Where can the people catch you online? Smoove, give yourself a plug.
Just all on the Instagram, all of that. Just search out Martin2Smoove, MARTIN, the number 2, SMOOVE, and I'm there.
Sick. We're going to call this Martin Part 2 Smoove.
I think we should call it Clartin2Smoove. Personally, that's
what this guy used to be. This guy.
I'm happy with this.
Flipping heck. Anyway, at TalkOver Pod on Instagram and Twitter. #TalkOver Podclart, as Dubl would say. Yeah, man. Audio on Spotify and Apple Music. Also, we're going to be on Amazon in the next week or two. We're joining Amazon podcasts.
Yeah, what up, Jeff Bezos?
Lend me a tenner. And then we'll be on YouTube, obviously, as always, man. So yeah, follow us. You know what to do. Plug in.
Yep.
All right, my guys. Smoove, we'll let you get back to your holiday.
Hey, thank you
for your time.
All right, enjoy the week.
And we'll speak to you soon, man. Cheers, brother.
Later.
Bye-bye.